Hello, greetings, fellow humans. Hi, this is Greg. Pretty much, I wanted to talk to you about a couple things today. I just want to say that it's been a long time since the last time I spoke. Last time I said I was going to actually talk about some of the things that I've learned from the scriptures, and some of the things I talked about was we were going through what we do every day. My family and I, we read through the book of Proverbs, right? In the book of Proverbs, every day there's 31 Proverbs. So there's 31 Proverbs. That means there's a one proverb, a chapter of a Proverbs every day. And one of the things that we came across was about how important it is for wisdom, So we're talking about wisdom and how wisdom, where it comes from, wisdom and the understanding of it, and where it comes from, and how it benefits and blesses people, and how wisdom was there before before the world was founded, before God made the world, that there was wisdom. It's all glossy and stuff. Let me check why this real quick. It's all glossy. Wisdom was there, and what the thing about wisdom is that it gives you life. And one of the things too, I keep saying one of these things. Another one of these things I talked about in terms of wisdom was about how we look at the world around us, and we interpret it based on what we see. And when we look at what we're seeing, we're not sure exactly what it is in entirety. We have to kind of study something and look it over and more so we get a fuller understanding of it. One of the things I was talking about after reading Proverbs, I went to Luke, and in Luke it started talking about how Jesus was confronted with the devil when he was out in the wilderness for 40 days. And when he was out there in the wilderness, what happened was that the devil came to him to tempt him. 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. He hadn't eaten any food. He hadn't slept. Well, pretty much, I guess he must have slept, but he didn't eat any food or drink. And one of the things that happened was that the devil came to him and said, give him three tests, right? Three tests. And the three tests that he gave them was is a test. And I told you before in my other previous video about Jonah, how when God puts you in a situation where you're going to be tested, it's for you to grow. When the devil puts you in a situation for you to be tested, it's a temptation for you to fall. And the devil wants nothing more than to make everybody bow down and fall to his will. Now, the first couple things that were said, I don't have my Bible in front of me here because I wasn't sure if I should. Well, I mean, I just you can look it up yourself. In Luke, it talked about how when you have the scenario where it says about how Jesus, the devil came to him and said to him three things. He said to him, "You have the power. You can turn these stones into bread." It says, and then Jesus responded to him, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." And the second one he said was, in that one it says that he took him up to a high temple, a high mountain, and from there he was able to show him all the kingdoms of the world, which is like a flat earth verse, by the way. But he takes him all and shows him all the kingdoms of the world now. And then he said to him, "If you bow down and worship me, I'll give you all the kingdoms of this world for you to rule." And Jesus said, "Thou shalt worship the Lord the God, and only Him shall you serve." And the last one he says, he took him to a pinnacle, top of a pinnacle of a building, and he says, if you were to jump down, he would give you his angels to guard your feet, lest you dash your foot against a stone. He'll bear you up in all your ways, lest you dash your feet against a stone, and he'll give you angels to send charge over you. And he said, "Thou shalt not tempt the Lord your God." Now, one thing I thought about all this and what it meant to me was, when I looked into it, was this. One, I had to stop and think about it for a while. I remember in Bible school we were trained and we taught about this, and we were explaining what it means. But look, as you go in life, you begin to get more wisdom about how things work and how things make sense. So one of the things was this. It said about the first one, taking stones, turning stones and making them into bread. I thought about that, and it's like one of the things that people always mess up with is desperation. When a person becomes desperate, they'll do anything to provide for themselves. Jesus had the power. He was already hungry. And one of the things that he being desperate was that he had a situation where he was he could have done it very easily because Jesus can do anything. Jesus is God. But he said, in this situation, he said, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." Now, what that means is that, very simply, is that God will provide your needs. God knows what you're going through, and He'll provide your needs. If you take unnecessary, desperate moves to solve your problem, which can end up happening, you put yourself in a worse situation. And what's going on is that you have this thing where if you put yourself in a worse situation, you don't know what to expect, and desperation. There's a song on YouTube. It says, "Desperation is a tender trap; it gets you every time." And what that means is, like, every time you put yourself out there in a desperate move, somebody out there who's not desperate knows how to take advantage of you. And the devil, he was trying to take advantage of Jesus because, one, the devil is telling you to do something. That's already bad. God, like the last time the devil told Adam and Eve to do something, it put us all into this trouble that we're in now. The next thing was this. he's and when you do a desperate move, it means you're not trusting God. You're trusting that the situation is a scarcity situation, and because it's a scarcity situation, you're gonna flee, you're gonna run, you're gonna do whatever it takes just to fulfill your desire, whatever it is. Jesus was hungry. Jesus wasn't like dealing with lust or dealing with a fear or his bills being paid. Jesus was hungry. He hadn't eaten like in 40 days. He had chosen to go out to the wilderness to pray and to seek God before he went into the ministry. And so what happens was that in this situation he was hungry and he had a desire, a need to be met. But he said, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." Just based on my interpretation. I could be wrong about this, but what I understand is that when you go desperate, you go dangerous. When you do something out of desperation, instead of it being out of wisdom and out of proper stepping, you do it out of fear, out of wondering what's going to happen next, wondering about things. And many things in this whole situation, this whole thing we're going through, is done out of fear. And the Bible says, "Fear of man brings